All right, welcome back. Part 2 of our deep dive into current affairs,
Back again.
specifically January 11th, 2025.
Okay.
So if you're getting ready for the UPSC exams,
Yeah,
this is really important stuff,
absolutely.
keeping on top of these things.
Yep.
So one of the things that really stood out to me, I don't know about you, but this Modhweth festival,
Okay.
celebrated by the Toda people, the Toda tribe in the Nilgiri Hills.
Right.
It marks their new year, and apparently there's some serious boulder lifting involved.
Oh, it's quite a unique tradition.
What's the story there?
The Toda people are one of the oldest Dravidian groups in the Nilgiri Hills, and they're actually recognized as a particularly vulnerable tribal group.
Oh, wow.
And their language is distinct within the Dravidian family, and their customs offer a fascinating glimpse into their cultural heritage.
Oh, I see.
And during Modhweth, it's held at the Moonpo Temple, which has a striking vertical spire. The men compete in lifting a greased boulder.
Oh, wow.
It's a test of strength and masculinity, and women are traditionally excluded from participating.
Okay, that's interesting. It makes you think about the origins of these customs and how they've
Yeah.
evolved over time. And for those of us preparing for the UPSC, this could be a great example to illustrate the themes of cultural diversity and the challenges faced by these vulnerable groups, and also the importance of preserving these indigenous traditions.
Absolutely. And it's also really interesting because it ties into the ecological significance of the region.
Okay.
The Toda tribe's land falls within the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve,
Right.
a UNESCO World Heritage Site
Yeah.
known for its incredible biodiversity and the convergence of different biotic zones.
It's like we're seeing cultural heritage and social dynamics and the environment all coming together
Exactly.
in one story.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's switch gears for a second and talk about something that is always relevant for the UPSC India-U.S. relations.
Yes.
January 11, 2025 saw some major developments on that front with the visit of the U.S. National Security Advisor.
Right. It was a significant visit. It marked a deepening of ties in key areas, like defense and technology.
Yeah.
And several initiatives were signed focusing on civil nuclear cooperation, co-manufacturing of sonobuoys, updates on missile export controls, and advancements in the initiative on critical and emerging technologies, or ICT.
Wow, so many things. That's a mouthful. But I have to say, the word sonobuoys really piqued my interest.
Okay.
It sounds like something straight out of a spy movie. What are they and why are they important?
You're not far off with the spy movie reference. They're underwater listening devices
Ooh.
used for detecting submarines.
Okay.
They're dropped from aircraft into the ocean, and they transmit sound signals back, which allows for the location and tracking of these underwater vessels.
So this means that India and the U.S. will be jointly producing these devices. That's a pretty big deal in terms of defense,
It is.
especially considering what's happening around the world.
Yeah, this move signifies a deepening of strategic partnership between India and the U.S., particularly in the maritime domain.
And for UPSC aspirants, analyzing the implications of agreements like this in the context of national security is crucial.
Absolutely. And also understanding the nuances of these agreements.
Right.
Like the 123 agreement for civil nuclear cooperation.
Right.
That's a game changer in the UPS exam.
Now, shifting gears again, let's talk about something that's a little bit less, I don't know, maybe exciting, but equally important, the GOBARdhan scheme.
Okay.
I was reading a report by the Center for Science and Environment that raised some concerns about transparency and data availability.
Oh, yeah.
Can you give us like a rundown of GOBARdhan? What is it and what are the concerns?
GOBARdhan stands for Galvanizing Organic Bioagro Resources Dawn.
Okay.
And it's an initiative aimed at converting organic waste,
Okay.
like agricultural residue and cattle dung, into compressed biogas, or CBG.
Oh, interesting.
It's all about creating a circular economy, finding new energy sources, and reducing pollution.
So it ticks a lot of boxes
It does.
in terms of the Sustainable Development Goals.
Yes.
Which is definitely something UPSC aspirants need to know about.
Yeah.
But what are the concerns raised in that report?
So despite all of its potential,
Yeah.
the scheme faces challenges.
Uh-huh.
The report highlights a slow adoption rate of these CBG plants, with far fewer operational than planned by 2030.
I see.
There's also lack of transparency regarding the feedstocks being used by various plants,
Okay.
and limited information on the operational status of existing plants.
So it's difficult to know how the scheme is progressing.
Exactly.
How does this tie into the bigger picture for someone trying to crack the UPSC?
It's a great example for them because Understanding the challenges of implementing such ambitious schemes,
Yeah.
particularly in a country as complex as India,
All right.
is really critical in analyzing GOBARdhan through the lens of policy analysis, sustainable development, and even governance can provide really valuable insights.
So it's not just about knowing what the scheme is.
Yeah.
It's also about understanding the challenges and potential solutions.
Exactly.
Okay, let's move on to another big development from January 11, 2025. NITI Aayog marked its 10th anniversary.
10 years.
Can you explain what NITI Aayog is and how it differs from the Planning Commission?
NITI Aayog stands for the National Institution for Transforming India.
Oh, okay.
And it was established in 2015,
Uh-huh.
replacing the Planning Commission.
Right.
And it signifies a shift
Okay.
from a centralized planning approach
Yeah.
to a more collaborative and data-driven model.
Interesting.
So NITI Aayog acts as an advisory body,
Mm-hmm.
focusing on policy recommendations,
Right.
promoting cooperative federalism,
Okay.
and encouraging data-driven decision-making.
So it's less about saying this is what you're going to do and more about working together with the states. That's a significant change.
It is.
So what are some of the things that NITI Aayog has been doing?
Well, take the SDG India Index, for example.
Okay.
It tracks the progress of states and union territories towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals.
Right.
So it provides a tool for monitoring and evaluation.
That's super helpful. And then there's the Aspirational Blocks program, which focuses on underdeveloped areas,
Yeah.
and the Adhol Innovation Mission,
Right.
which is about fostering a culture of innovation.
Yeah.
But it's not just about listing achievements.
No.
What kind of critical analysis do we need to be thinking about?
It's important to analyze the impact of NITI Aayog,
Uh-huh.
understanding its strengths and weaknesses,
Okay.
and evaluating its effectiveness in driving change.
Right. Like, has it actually lived up to its promise?
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered cultural traditions, international relations, sustainable development, and this big change in how planning and governance is done in India. All from just looking at this one day in 2025, but we're not done yet. Let's zoom out and venture into space.
Okay.
Researchers at the Indian Institute of Astrophysics made an exciting discovery. An ultra-diffuse galaxy lurking at the end of a tidal tail.
Wow.
I have to admit, my astronomy is a little rusty. Can you break this down for us? What are tidal tails, and why is this discovery so important?
Well, imagine two galaxies interacting.
Okay.
Their gravitational forces pull and stretch
Mm-hmm.
streams of stars and gas out into space.
Wow.
These streams we call tidal tails.
Oh.
And at the end of one such tail, researchers found this ultra-diffuse galaxy.
So finding this ultra-diffuse galaxy is a big deal. What does it tell us about the universe?
Well, it provides us with valuable insights into the process of galaxy evolution. It suggests that these faint galaxies can form after galactic interaction.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's like piecing together a puzzle
It is.
and understanding how these events shape the universe we see today.
Yeah.
It's incredible to think about the vastness of space and all the mysteries out there.
Absolutely.
But you know what's really fascinating?
What?
How this discovery ties back to the UPSC exam.
Oh, right.
India's capabilities in space exploration and research
Yeah.
are areas that UPSC aspirants should be aware of.
For sure.
This discovery just highlights the amazing work being done by Indian scientists.
It does.
Okay, so current affairs can encompass everything.
They really can.
Travel festivals to space.
A lot to cover.
But we are not done yet.
No.
Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll delve even deeper into some of these topics
Okay.
and explore their relevance for the UPSC exam.
I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
Really is remarkable how interconnected things can be.
It is.
And it reminds us that to prepare for the UPSC, we need to have a really broad understanding, not just of individual topics, but also how everything connects.
It's all one big web.
It is.
Okay, well, speaking of interconnectedness, our next stop takes us from space to a more down-to-earth issue. A state of emergency was declared in Trinidad and Tobago.
Right.
Now, this might seem like a random shift,
Okay.
but it's actually very relevant
It is.
for anyone who's hoping to do well in the UPSC.
Global events are important, even ones that seem far away.
Right.
They can have a big impact on India.
Okay.
Foreign policy,
Right.
on policy,
Yeah.
economic interests,
Right.
and even the Indian diaspora. So
know.
Trinidad and Tobago,
Yeah.
a Caribbean island nation
Right.
near Venezuela,
Okay.
they declared a state of emergency because of a surge in gang violence.
So not a natural disaster or
Right.
anything like that.
This is a security challenge.
Okay, so why should UPSC aspirants care about this?
For a few reasons.
Okay.
First, it shows how important it is to understand global security issues and how they can spread
Okay.
Trinidad and Tobago, despite its size.
Right.
It's a member of CARICOM, and it has ties to other countries in the region.
Okay.
So instability in one nation can impact its neighbors and even global trade routes.
It's all connected.
Exactly.
But there's another layer to this too, right?
There is the Indian connection.
Oh, right.
The Indian diaspora in Trinidad and Tobago is really significant.
Huh. I actually didn't realize that.
And they make up a big portion of the population. And this historical link, along with growing economic ties and bilateral agreements, makes it important for India.
It's like this hidden thread connecting us to this Caribbean nation.
You could say that.
So should we be paying attention to even these far-off events?
It's a good reminder to analyze how they might impact India and understand the diaspora's role.
All crucial for the UPSC.
All crucial.
Okay, now let's shift gears back to India, to the GOBARdhan scheme.
Right.
This is all about transforming organic waste into compressed biogas.
Right.
It's got a lot of potential.
It does.
Promote a circular economy.
Yeah.
Achieve those green energy goals.
Important stuff.
But that report we talked about from the Center for Science and Environment raises some concerns about how transparent everything is and the actual progress that's being made.
Some key challenges highlighted.
Okay.
The goal was to have thousands of CBG plants running by 2030.
Right.
But right now, the numbers are much lower.
Oh, wow.
And we don't really know what types of feedstocks different plants are using. And there's limited info on how those existing plants are doing.
So we set these big goals.
Yeah.
But we also need to be tracking them.
Absolutely. Effective implementation is key.
And transparency, too.
Very much so.
How does all this tie into the UPSC syllabus?
This GOBARdhan scheme is a really great case study for UPSC aspirants. It covers so many important themes.
Like
sustainable development, environmental policy, renewable energy.
Right.
And the challenges of implementing these big initiatives in a country as diverse as India.
So many moving pieces.
There are.
It's not just about memorizing facts, right?
No, it's about understanding the complexities.
Okay, before we wrap up this part, let's circle back to NITI Aayog.
10 years.
We talked about some of their key initiatives.
We did.
But what about the overall impact? Have they actually changed India's planning and development approach?
That's the big question. For anyone who wants to understand the Indian economy and the policy landscape.
Yeah.
So they've contributed to a lot of different sectors.
Right.
But how effective they've been is definitely up for debate.
Okay.
Some people argue that they haven't fully addressed the challenges of cooperative federalism.
Meaning?
The states often feel left out
of
the decision-making.
Okay.
And others say there needs to be more transparency, accountability.
So it's not just about what they've done well.
No.
It's also about how they've done it.
Exactly.
And whether it's been effective.
That's the key.
This is great for UPSC aspirants to be thinking about.
It is, going beyond just the surface level.
Okay, now let's switch gears one last time in this section.
Okay.
And talk about cultural diversity and governance. We started off today talking about the Modhweth festival.
We did.
With the Toda tribe. And it made us think about those unique traditions.
And how important it is to protect them.
Yeah, but it's not just about the Toda tribe.
No.
India has so many different cultures and languages.
So much diversity.
How does all of this impact governance?
That's a really important question.
It is.
Understanding and respecting all of this diversity is key for good governance.
Especially in a country like India.
Absolutely.
What does that mean, practically speaking?
It means having policies that include everyone, protecting the rights of minorities, and promoting harmony between different groups.
So unity and diversity.
Exactly.
It's a strength.
It is.
But it also comes with complexities.
It does.
Okay, I think we've covered a lot of ground in this part of our deep dive.
We have, from the Caribbean to India.
Policy analysis.
Right.
Cultural diversity. It's amazing how all of this can be connected.
It is.
And how much insight it offers for those getting ready for the UPSC.
A lot to learn.
Now, let's move on to the final part of our deep dive, where we'll wrap everything up and give you some key takeaways and things to think about.
Sounds good.
And we are back for the final part of our deep dive.
Part 3.
Into current affairs, January 11th, 2025.
All right.
We've covered so much ground.
Yeah.
From the Nilgiri Hills to the Caribbean, policy analysis, even space exploration.
It's been quite a journey.
It has. So As we wrap things up,
Yeah.
what are some key takeaways?
One thing that really stood out to me
Mm,
is how interconnected, seemingly unrelated events can be.
right. It's all a web.
It is.
Like we started with the Modhweth Festival,
Right.
this celebration by the Toda tribe in the Nilgiri Hills.
Yeah.
But that opened up all these other conversations.
It did, about cultural anthropology, the challenges faced by vulnerable tribal groups,
Yeah.
the ecological significance of the region.
So many things. It's a good reminder that even these very specific events can have these broader implications
Exactly.
and touch on all these themes.
And for UPSC, that's really important.
It is.
It all ties back in.
Yeah. And then we talked about India-U.S. relations.
Right, analyzing those agreements.
Those agreements, especially the ones on civil nuclear cooperation and defense technology.
Yeah, like those sonar boys.
It's important to go beyond just knowing about them.
Right, absolutely. You need to understand the context.
The geopolitical context.
Yeah.
The potential impact on foreign policy.
And the economic and technological side of things, too.
So many layers.
There are.
UPSC is all about developing that analytical mindset.
Yeah.
It is. Thinking critically.
Okay. And then we talked about the GOBARdhan scheme.
That's right. A great example of policy in action.
Such a cool idea.
It is.
But putting it into practice isn't always easy.
There are challenges.
Data transparency,
Yeah.
monitoring and evaluation.
Making sure it's actually working.
Right. For UPSC aspirants, this is a great lesson.
It is. In how to analyze policy effectiveness.
Understanding the realities on the ground.
And finding solutions. Yeah, bridging that gap between what we want to do and what's actually happening.
Exactly.
Then we moved on to NITI Aayog.
10 years.
It's been a decade.
It has.
And they've done a lot.
They have.
But we also talked about the need for scrutiny.
Right. Evaluating their effectiveness.
Transparency, accountability.
Those are crucial.
It's a good reminder
Yeah.
that even institutions meant to bring about change
Yeah.
need to be constantly evaluated.
Absolutely.
And of course, we can't forget our little detour into space.
That galaxy discovery was amazing.
It was, and it shows just how much Indian scientists are doing.
Contributing to the global scientific community.
For UPSC, this means staying updated on those advancements.
It's all part of the bigger picture.
It
And
is.
staying informed.
And then we brought it all back to India.
That state of emergency in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah, it's a reminder to think about the Indian diaspora.
And those global security challenges.
Your world is interconnected.
It really is.
So if we had to give one piece of advice to our listeners, what would it be?
Be curious.
No.
Embrace different perspectives.
Yeah.
And always try to connect the dots.
Because that's what the UPSC is all about.
It's not just about memorizing facts.
No.
It's about thinking critically, analyzing.
Understanding the complexity of it all.
Exactly.
It's about developing that intellectual agility
It is.
to navigate through all the information out there
Find those key insights
and articulate your understanding.
in a clear, concise way.
Well said. And remember,
Yeah,
the journey of preparation is enriching in itself.
it is.
Embrace the challenges, stay curious, never stop learning.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
A huge thank you to our expert for joining us today.
It was my pleasure.
And to all our listeners,
Yes.
thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
We hope you learned a lot.
Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep pushing those boundaries.
Until next time.
See you then.